All right, what is going on?
Wow, that totally worked.
Yeah, we're figuring this out on the fly. First time
Did
using StreamYard, so we're
did you
gonna
get
muddle
this?
through it.
Did you get the sick background music as well?
I was hearing it too.
Like
Yeah, did,
like the like the
yeah.
yeah.
Never get tired of that intro, man. All right, yo, what's going on, everybody? If you're watching this, it's the first ever live stream for Tales from the Shelf. Joining me tonight is my longtime friend and collaborator, Tyler. Tyler, do you want to go ahead and give a little introduction?
What's up, everybody? Yeah. My name's Tyler. Me and Mark have been boys since second grade. Which is crazy to say. We
How many years
actually,
is that now?
dude, that would have been 2000
2002?
and 2001 that we met.
Okay.
So 23 years, which is what? Yeah.
Crazy,
Um,
right?
yeah. I
All
didn't
right.
even like you when we met,
No, we
but
did not like each other when we first met. We
no,
were like we were little shitheads. I mean, I was a shithead. You were probably
I was
not as
also a
much of a
shithead.
shithead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who's not a shithead in second grade?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Tyler and I have known each other for many years. Basically, Tales from the Shelf, as you know it, does not exist without Tyler. He's very knowledgeable and like music, graphic design, video editing, um, all sorts of things that have been very valuable. He's taught me a lot to help make this channel what it is. So he is a very big part of this. So super fitting that it felt only appropriate to have him on for the first show.
We had been talking about doing something like this for a long time. We tried to do a
Mm.
couple podcasts.
Yeah, we recorded a podcast where we we could not figure out like what our podcast was going to be about. It was like we were like we like video games and movies and all this other and like we couldn't like hone in on a specific topic.
I also thought it would be like a good idea to get like fairly drunk to do the podcast, and
Mm.
not a good idea. At
No,
least not for
yeah.
a first one. Once you know what you're doing, maybe in
Well,
person,
I don't know that we
maybe.
ever plan to even air that, but I actually
Yeah.
still have the audio from that on my phone. Looks like we got
Wow.
some people in here. What's up, Sauceful? I think that's Dan. Eric's in here. What's up?
Wow. What is
TJ's in
good?
here. What's up,
TJ.
guy? Yeah, Dan's brother. What's up,
Oh, different
TJ?
TJ. What's up, TJ?
Um,
I was thinking TJ from the Creeper.
Laren's in here. What's up, guys? Mike, Mega Mike, thank you so much for coming by. Holland Oates, always supporting. Love to see you here. Caveman Movies and more. Thanks, guys. I
What
was not
what
expecting a lot for the first show, so it's super cool to see you guys in here.
boys are showing up on a Friday night right now?
So in continuing with our just that little introduction here, I just thought I would tell the viewers a little bit about just what you do around here. You know, you've helped the intro that played before this. You designed that. Um, you've been pretty valuable in teaching me how to use Premiere, cleaning up audio, things like that. Thumbnails, it's a big one. So, is there
Yeah, the
anything?
recent thumbnails. Recent
Yeah,
thumbnails kind of slap.
the recent thumbnails, we've decided to kind of hone in on a specific style so that they're more consistent. Um, so, yeah, you want to add anything to that, real quick?
We had, yeah, I mean, at least as far as like process, again, like me and Mark have been talking about doing something like this together, just like working on something together for a few years or for a long time. I've done like music production and other video stuff for a long time since like seventh grade. Our other friend, Clyde, shout out Clyde,
Mm.
he helped me with a video project and edited it on like Windows Movie Maker on my computer, and I didn't know that that like
Yeah.
existed. And I was like, "You just made a whole video on my computer?" And it was like blew my mind. And I've been like messing around with video stuff ever since then. And
Hmm.
then I don't know when we started talking about you doing this. Yeah, I don't know how like this exactly, man. Or actually, you started doing Tales from the Shelf as an Instagram page
Yeah,
first.
yeah. So the Instagram came first, where I kind of just would post all my collection, all my movies and stuff, things that I bought, and that was really fun for a while, and that got me more into the like more online spaces, like places like YouTube, where I have made a lot of friends since I made my channel. People like Mega Mike, who's had me on his channel a lot, Holland Oates, Laren, all these guys, Caveman Movies and more. Um, and yeah, and then I don't know. I've always been like super opinionated on stuff, and I was inspired by a lot of the channels that I watched, and I was like, I could probably do something like that. And then I think I tossed that around to you for a little while, and I remember distinctly I was at work, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do this," and I was like, "Hold me to it," and you were like, "No, like hold yourself to it." You like really like put the foot down and was like, "You got to do this. You just have to do it. Like I can't do it for you," kind of thing. And I was like, "Damn, he's right." So I like a couple months later, I bought the camera that I have, my Sony ZV-1 on your recommendation, and got to work on the first video, and the rest has been history. So yeah, Tales from the Shelf really does not exist without Tyler here. So that can't be understated.
Dude, and that was last October now. So like a
Yeah,
year and a half ago, just
yeah,
about.
year and some change we're in. I
Dude,
celebrated the 1 year anniversary this past October. So
that's crazy.
yeah, here we are, man. We got a few topics we're going to talk about tonight. Um, we're just going to kind of keep it organic and kind of free flowing. Just see how the first one goes. If any of you guys in the chat have like any questions at any point for either Tyler or myself, feel free to drop those in, and
Yeah,
I will
please.
answer them. I think that'd be fun. If they come up, no pressure to ask questions, but if you have them, we'll let them fly. All right, so we're going to start with the first topic that Tyler and I were pretty interested in talking about, and that is horror movies we saw too young. Me and Tyler, we have a lot of this shared common interest, but horror movies is definitely like one of the bigger ones. So there's a lot of them that we could talk about that we've both seen, particularly when we were too young, that kind of left an impact on us for better or worse. So you want to take it away here? I know you had some examples you wanted to start with.
Yeah, so I have two. I have the first one, and I don't actually remember watching this one, but I remember being like 4 or 5 because I remember the house I was living at the time and who was watching me, and I remember being terrified of Chucky. And I don't remember watching it, but I remember being scared of it, and I remember going to Spencer's in the mall with my mom, and I'm like short as a person in general, and so
Hmm.
at 4 I was like particularly short, right? At
Yeah, yeah,
4.
you're a little kid. Yeah,
and
you're
so
just
I'm
a
at
little kid.
and so I'm at Spencer's, and I'm walking through the aisle, and I round a corner, and Chucky is just staring me like straight in the eye. Like it was like the movie must have
What?
just came out, and so like there was like just like a real life size Chucky
Like a
doll.
screen accurate kind of prop, almost like a doll.
Yeah, yeah, and he was just like posted up, and
Excuse me.
yeah, and just absolutely terrified, and so I remember that. But then the first horror movie I actually remember watching, was Carrie, and I remember the apartment I lived in at the time, so I was like 7 or 8, and I was by myself. Like there was other people in the house, but like nobody was like up and watching me, so I'm in the living room by myself, and Carrie starts. I don't know how it was on TV, but it starts, and for anybody who's seen Carrie, starts off pretty crazy, and
Yeah,
it's like
not a
a
movie for
locker.
kids.
No, it's like a locker room scene with like a bunch of girls, and I'm like 7, so I see that, and it like blows my mind. So I don't understand what I'm looking at as it is, and then I'm like, okay, like I'm locked in. Like I don't know what this is, but I'm obviously watching this, and then Carrie just takes a nosedive for an hour and a half, and I remember like the very very end where what's her name's having. I'm gonna spoil the very very end of Carrie now if you haven't seen Carrie already.
Yeah.
Come on. But there's like the part where the hand comes out and like the dream sequence where she grabs the girl, like she's putting the flowers down, she grabs her hand. Yeah. So, and it's interesting how like you have those experiences when you're young, and it was equally terrifying, and also was like drew me in more, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting, and have just always been interested in horror movies and horror games and like stuff like that
Yeah.
since then, if not before then. Yeah.
Dude, yeah. So Chucky never scared me a ton, but my sister Madison was terrified of Chucky. And so much so that it was like everybody else knew that she was super scared of Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
Um but yeah, man. That and Carrie. Carrie's a messed up one cuz that's a little more psychological. Like there's not really like a monster in Carrie, like it's just people. But that one
Mm-hmm.
iconic image of Carrie at the end with the blood on her face and she's like locked in. She's got that crazy like stare. Dude, yeah. I mean, I don't know that I've watched it like it's like start to finish when I was young, but like that scene and in particular all the mayhem at the prom, people getting like sprayed and stuff with electricity and the water and everything. Um, yeah, dude. I mean, it was like you see it once
Metal.
and it becomes like seared in your brain.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it was good. Good
yeah,
time.
it's crazy. Dan says eye level Chucky's horrifying. Yeah,
we were the, we were the
I'm
same size.
I'm forgetting that I can show. You're gonna have to bear with me, people. First time using Streamyard here. Um, Carrie is growing up. Yes, it is. Sierra, thanks for watching, Sierra. You're awesome. Double feature podcast. Hey, what's up? Thanks for watching. Anthony's Horror and more. Tim Curry's Pennywise.
Wow.
This is a big one for many people. This one never affected me too much. I don't think I watched this one as a kid.
Dude, I watched that version of it, which I loved, and was also like my dad liked horror movies. He doesn't anymore, but when I was a kid, he did, and so we'd watch that. So we watched that
Interesting.
and then that was also early 2000s. A straight to TV version of Rose Red came out.
Dude, yeah,
I
I've
don't know if
never seen
anybody's seen
that.
that.
I've never seen that.
I don't know how it would hold up now, um, but that fucked me up. There's a scene where like there's like this guy's out in like this it's like a big mansion and there's like a big like courtyard and garden and stuff, and there is this statue that he's looking at and he's like staring at it, and then the statue like slowly turns his head towards him,
Yo, that
and the guy has like a mental break and freaks out. And like I'm not just, I don't know if it was scarier that the statue is moving or the guy's reaction, but like that's also seared in my brain. It's a good time.
dude, around that time there was a ton of like Stephen King direct to TV movies coming
Dude,
out.
he was just he was just like,
Well,
yeah, take it.
the books were already they all existed, but like
Yeah, no, he
I
was just
mean,
signing off. He's like,
there's
go ahead.
some like the Langoliers, Rose Red. It is the biggest one. God, there's so many. The Wonder Years. I think they did Tommy Knockers. Just there's the list goes on. But yeah, never saw Rose Red. I see the people have VHS tapes of those, and it's like the 2-pack VHS
Yeah, I
because
remember super long.
it's because those were usually multiple like hours, like 3 hours long or whatever.
Yeah, I
Devin's
feel like.
watching. Sorry. Thank you for watching, Devin. You guys are awesome.
Thanks, Devin.
Eric says, I snuck into my parents' room when they were out on a date to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre as a child, and it's fucked me up. I don't think I knew that, Eric. That's amazing. Still haven't watched it all the way through since.
Yeah.
Honestly, you'd probably be all right now, but that's one that's it's a lot. People misremember that as being more gory than it is. All
It's
the
just like
violence is like
so,
is implied.
and it's so slow, and like so much of it is so you're just like,
Yeah,
it's like, ugh.
it
Yeah.
takes a while to get to it. Man, I could talk about Texas Chainsaw all day. Harless Har says definitely was Chucky for me. That seems to be a common thing. Honestly, I'm
That might be the
surprised that it wasn't for me, just
that might
because
be
of
the
it's
year
a
too.
doll. Sorry, what?
That might be the year too. What was that, like 98?
The first
80,
Child's Play came out in like '88 or '89, so it was at the tail end of the
what?
'80s. Yeah, tail end of the '80s for Child's Play. And then like Child's Play 2 and 3, I think were probably '90s movies. So yeah, right around when we were coming up. Um, Sierra says that's embarrassing. Just roasting Eric. Double feature podcast. Remember watching The Exorcist as a child? Scared the
Oh
crap
no.
out of me. Yeah, that's a big one too. God, I mean, there's so many iconic moments in that could be seared into the mind of a child.
Dude, I haven't watched that all the way through still, actually.
Exorcist, dude, I just
Yeah.
did it this past year for it was I think it was the 50th anniversary. So
Yeah.
I recently rewatched that.
Didn't not a sequel but like another one come out recently?
Guys, go on, go. Niece and nephew are walking in. Go on. Uh, Rose Red is great. It's my favorite miniseries from Stephen King. I want to watch this sometime, but
Yeah, I feel like we should revisit. It might be hard to find to watch now.
well, those VHS tapes seem to be everywhere. They pop up a lot
Really?
in like thrift stores and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like it was multiple hours, and I watched the first. It was like I remember they were showing it during over the course of a week or a couple weeks or something, and we watched it for a couple nights, and then my dad was like, "Okay, like you're not watching the rest of this," and so I
Yeah.
watched the beginning of it, and like it just open ended in my head now. I don't know how it ends. I'm sure it's not good.
Dan says, "I know what you did
Mm,
last summer was the movie that put me off horror when I was like 8." Yeah, that would be right
never
around
seen that.
the right time. That one's that's like a Scream kind of knockoff.
Is that Lindsay Lohan?
No, it's Jennifer Love Hewitt and Sarah Michelle Gellar are in it.
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Let's see. Anthony's Horror More asks, "What is the scene from a horror movie that has lasted with you because it was so disturbing?" Interesting question. Um,
Um, you
you
go
want to
ahead.
take it? Yeah, if you have an answer ready, I would have to think about it a bit.
I haven't. So this is gonna like kind of break part of the main part of this conversation, but I
Oh, it's
haven't
fine.
real.
We're free flowing here.
No, I haven't really watched horror movies much since I watched Hereditary back
Oh my
in
god. Yeah.
20 end of 2020 or beginning of 2021, and I watched it with headphones on, and there's the scene towards the end, like the whole climax of the film where like what's his name, Peter, the main dude from
Um.
the Naked Brothers band.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I think that's his name. I haven't
Yeah, I think
watched it since 2019 either. That's my
yeah,
answer too. Uh,
yeah.
and there's multiple scenes from Hereditary um that could fit the bill here. I would probably go with the scene in the car though. That would probably
Mm-hmm.
be that would probably be my answer.
Dude, the attic scene at the end, and have headphones on. I have like headphones on. It's like blasted, and yeah. And there's the scene where I don't want to give anything away. If anybody hasn't seen it, definitely watch it. But there's a very visceral scene with piano wire happening,
Oh yeah.
and the sound design in that movie is great.
Oh, it's
And
impeccable.
and by the time you get to that scene, you're just like it's just so insane. And I literally took the headphones off, and then I watched the movie's almost done at that point. I took the headphones off and then just like watched the next like 10 minutes with
That's
like no
insane that you
headphones or anything
watched
in.
Hereditary with your headphones on. I don't think I could do that.
It was
I
like
can't
6
watch the
a.m.
movie again, let alone watch it with the friggin' headphones on.
Yeah, it was
Um,
great.
yeah, my answer would also be multiple scenes from Hereditary. Laren asks, question, what color do you think the Shapes coveralls were in the 1978 film Halloween? I don't know if that's like a trick question. I want to assume they're either like dark blue or maybe gray or black. I don't know.
I don't know
Maybe,
if I know the lore of this
I, th-
question.
I think they're
I don't know
like
if I'm
navy
making it enough.
blue. I don't know. I feel like this is maybe some kind of a trick question, but Sierra says the scene in The Sixth Sense when Cole gets locked in the closet at the birthday. Yeah, dude. There's
Yes.
a few scenes from Sixth Sense that really messed me up. Um,
I,
Alex on our street when we were growing up, I watched that with him.
wow.
Yeah, dude.
That's a
Yeah,
weird.
wild. Yeah, it was, and that shit. Sixth Sense is terrifying,
the
especially if
the
you're a kid.
Yeah, I forget now that we're talking about all these. I forget how many of these I watched when I was like a little kid. The one that messed me up from Sixth Sense specifically is when he's in the tent in his room,
Yeah, dude.
and the girl comes in and she's like,
She's like throwing up. She's like, "Mom, I threw up."
he's like, what do you want me to do?
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, Sixth Sense is messed up. I haven't seen that in probably like 15 years. I'm probably
Dude,
overdue for
my
one
favorite.
of them.
I love Sixth Sense. Easily my favorite M Night Shyamalan movie.
Mm.
But my favorite reference of Sixth Sense is from Always Sunny, where Charlie thinks that the
He was Bruce Willis the whole time.
they're like, that's not the twist.
That's so funny. God, I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Like it's hard to talk about horror movies without talking about Hereditary. It's
I assume Eric's talking about Hereditary here. Yeah, dude. I watched it with him and Brendan for the first time. And then like we like went out after that and like we're around people.
Oh,
and
weird.
it was like that meme where it's like they don't know I just watched Hereditary, like it's the guy at the party or whatever, and they're like,
Oh, wow.
it was like that. I was like, I'm like, dude, I can't right now. Yeah, that car scene is messed up. Hereditary. A lot of people saying Hereditary. That's a pretty popular answer. His coveralls are a hotly debated topic. I was hoping you had an answer for me, Laren, because I'm actually wondering that myself. So I don't know. I never thought of too much about the coveralls. The mask usually gets a lot of the my attention. That's one. So for me, coming back to my answer here, it's Halloween. I've said it multiple times. I don't know. I feel like I've probably said it on this channel at one point or another, but and like in a video, probably when I did my top 10 horror movies video, I probably talked about it. But yeah, the first Halloween, my parents did not really give a shit like what I watched. I was watching movies like Highlander, Mortal Kombat, Spawn,
Mortal
like, and
Kombat.
those are like the fun ones. And Halloween, I've come to really love and appreciate, but at the time, that shit gave me nightmares, dude. And like any nightmare I had as a kid was about Michael Myers, like without exception.
It's rough.
Um, we were watching it one Halloween, and my stepdad, we were put to bed, and my mom and him were like watching movies out in the living room. I'm in my bed, like just trying to sleep, I guess, and he like bursts in with a Michael Myers mask on, and he's like waving a
What?
knife around, dude. Dude, yeah,
Is Bob?
no, it's my stepdad Steve.
Steve. I remember
Yeah,
Steve.
he lives in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. And dude, I mean,
Dude, that's
yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah, it was fucked up, but like that's just like how he got down. But anyway, yeah, it was messed up, man. Um
Dan
so
also Dan also told me to turn my mic up, so if I'm too low, somebody just let me know. Yeah, I can
yeah, I
turn it up a
tried.
little bit.
I wasn't sure if it was just for me or the audience, but you sound louder now, so I think you're probably all right. Yeah, man. So I'm honestly glad that those we had those experiences because I feel like they really oftentimes most people will say um, they were terrified of certain horror movies when they were young, and then as they age, they grow to appreciate them. And I don't know that I
Yeah.
would like them as much as I do now if I hadn't been like so scared of them as a kid.
It, yeah, I feel like having like a strong fear response to something, like at the very least, it's a much stronger connection to it than something that's just like, oh yeah, that was
Yeah,
fine. You know, like you remember those so much stronger than like how many movies did you watch as a kid? And
yeah. So many
yeah,
come and go without making an impact.
yeah.
Um. All right. Cool. Well, we could probably move on to our next topic unless you had anything else.
That's all I got.
That's all you got. All right. So we're gonna move into the current state of horror. We talked about what horror movies we liked when we were young. What do you think about like where horror is at today? You know, we've got like the A24s and the neons of the world. Blumhouse puts out decent stuff here and there, but it's more hit and miss. Um, what are you thinking?
Dude, I went on a little like film watching spree a couple years ago, and I caught up on like I watched like Midsummer, and Hereditary, and The Lighthouse, and some other
Yeah,
stuff, and I really, as much as I do, I like a fun like slasher film and stuff, but those never really like hit for me the same way. I really like weird psychological horror where like the scary thing is like the mental thing that the main people are dealing with.
hmm
I really like, dude, what was the year? And there was a great wave of horror films, and we went and saw everything back when I was living in Jersey still. The year that It Follows came out,
Ooh, that was
and
2014.
was that long ago?
Yeah, like, It Follows came out in 2014.
That's
I
weird.
know because this is the 10-year anniversary.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I feel like I'm not like as knowledgeable and versed in like horror movie history as you are, but at least in my brain, it seems like there has been over time more emphasis on like less like monster stuff and less like the action of the film. And
Hmm.
we have people now making stuff where you can make like a very complex, interesting script and like complicated story, but that's like really dark and like deals with a lot of like really heavy stuff and uses a horror film as like the medium to deliver those messages.
Yeah.
And it's hard to like go and just watch those all the time, but those always end up being the movies that like really hit me and that like stick with me. And like I still like I think about Hereditary on a weekly basis, and I watched it 3 years ago or whatever, and I
Yeah.
watched it once. And yeah, and I don't know, and like I don't know, is that not true though? Is there like a bunch of like great films similar to that from like 70s, 80s that I just don't know about, or has that been
Oh
kind of part of the
yeah.
progression?
Yeah. I mean, the everybody knows like the big um horror movies from the 70s, like Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw, Halloween, Carrie is a big one, Alien. But there's also a lot of other ones that tend to like slip through the radar for a lot of people. I think of like a movie I just watched last year, like Don't Look Now with Donald Sutherland, which is like really like about like him and his wife. They're spoilers for Don't Look Now, a movie from 1970 something. Uh, Him and his wife, like their daughter dies, and they go like on they go to some, I think it's Paris, it's some European country. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting. But just to kind of like he goes there for work, and it's all kind of also doubles as like a vacation for them. And it's funny because if it was made today, it would be considered like elevated horror. You know, there's that term that a lot of people like to toss around and stuff. I think it's kind of lost its a lot of its impact, if it ever meant anything at all, because movies like that have always been around. But with the rise of like A24 and stuff, like people have
Mm-hmm.
like, it's almost like people don't know how to like what to label this thing, because it's like they don't, I guess they haven't watched a lot of movies like that, so they're like, we have to put this label on this because
And a different
otherwise,
is a different thing now. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's so, I mean, movies like that have always existed though. I don't there's a famous, there's people say that some of the most effective horror movies are the ones where if you remove the horror element, the movie still works. Ari Aster talked about that with Hereditary, where it's really just like a family drama and it's super depressing. And there's a version that you could make of that movie where nothing supernatural ever happens, and it's just like this fucked up story about this family. I think that's actually what he wanted to do, but he had to make it like that. Otherwise, he couldn't have marketed the movie
he,
or
he's
sold the movie.
he said he shopped that script, so it was just like a really uh disturbing family drama that he
Hmm.
had shopped around for, I want to say like 2 or 3 years or something, like a finished script, and nobody wanted to make it, which like I get it.
Right.
Um
It's hard to get
and
funding for like something like that.
yeah, and like shopped it around for like a few years, and then was like, okay, like there's a cult and there's like some
Yeah, yeah,
magic
yeah.
stuff going on, and then they were like, all right, like this is like this is it. And yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just funny because Don't Look Now, like if it was made today, it would be like an A24 movie. Like it starts out, it's like very it's a lot of like him and his wife kind of processing the loss of their daughter and stuff, and then things like take a turn in the second and like third act and stuff. And it's a really good movie. But I think of movies like that, and I'm sure I could, if I'm blanking on other examples, but yeah, forget where I was going with that, but pretty
So there's
much,
so there's always been movies
yeah.
like that.
There's
Isn't a
always,
new thing. Yeah.
yeah. There's always been movies like that. But then I think of conversely, like a lot of horror movies today feel like they're made sort of like from a cynical kind of point of view, like
Mm.
just looking to kind of cash in on an IP or something. I think the biggest offender of this is like the Conjuring franchise. The first two Conjuring movies are really, really good, and Annabelle Creation is like solid, but for the most part, those movies are not that good. I think movies like The Nun, The Nun Two, um, Conjuring Three was not great. So, and they all sort of
Is
have a lot of the same things in common. What are you about to say?
how many of those are there? They're
There's
all
like
I think
eight
they're
or
all really
nine of
good.
them now. Annabelle alone has 3 movies. There's 2 Nun movies, 3 Conjuring movies. Um, La Llorona is, I don't know if that's supposed. People go kind of debate whether or not that's supposed to be part of the universe, but I think it is. I think it's supposed to be.
Can I jump back to something real quick? Can you
Yeah, go
remind
for
me
it.
of it because you talked about Annabelle? Other real early horror film, um, Night of the Living Dummy, the Goosebumps
Oh, dude,
movie.
Goosebumps, dude. Things like Goosebumps and Courage the Cowardly Dog were very formative for us.
Bro, yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot about Courage the Cowardly Dog and like
Hmm.
that dude. I feel like that'd be weird now. Like if I watched it now, I would still be like, it'd be weird.
Yeah, dude, it's messed up. Like some of the stuff that's in Courage is like, how did this get past? Like, was there no like nothing in place to like maybe kids shouldn't see this? I don't know. I'm glad that we did get Courage the way that it was because I mean that show is messed up. But
Yeah,
yeah,
they wouldn't do it now.
Goosebumps books and the show were pretty solid.
I had a bunch of the books. Never, I didn't like reading until I was like 20, so I never read them. But we would go
Dude.
and we'd rent the VHSs all the time, and there was like a few. There was only a few that they carried, so like I would just rent the same like 3 or 4 all the time. And Ned the Living Dummy was on repeat at the house. Yeah, it was great.
I just want to answer this. I want to acknowledge this real quick so too much time doesn't go by. Laren says they're spruce green, which is surprising to me. Yeah, color correction makes them look blue for most of the film. The scene with him and Tommy at the school reveals a lot. That's very interesting. Yeah, color correction, and you see it a lot with like the new 4Ks that they put out,
Mm.
where they can like make it look the way it's supposed to.
Hmm.
Um, it's surprising how much things look different with different color correction. So thank you for sharing that, Larry. I did not know that.
It's interesting.
Dan asks, "What's a non-horror movie that really scared either of you?" Do you have an answer for this?
Non.
I think I might have one in the tuck right now.
Yeah, I gotta think about it. I definitely have one. You go. You go ahead though.
It's definitely a good question. Mortal Kombat from 1994 scared me. Have you seen that movie?
Did we watch it recently ish? We watched that
Mm,
or
I don't think so.
then no.
Scorpion in Mortal Kombat is pretty scary, like for a kid, and he screams like "Get over here!" and like in a very scary voice. So as a kid, Mortal Kombat actually scared me a decent amount. And then there's like a scene where he like takes Johnny Cage to hell and they fight in hell. It's pretty badass.
That does sound really badass.
No, it was sweet. Yeah, that would probably be mine. I'm sure I'm forgetting an obvious one. Maybe I'll come back to it. Um, do you have anything for that?
I don't. This is a cop out answer because I don't actually remember it. But apparently, when I was really little, I like to watch Cinderella a lot.
Shit.
And the scene where when the stepsisters and the stepmom come in for the first time and they like bully Cinderella used to like really upset me, according to my mom. And I
Mhm.
always just make you sad. And dude, old Disney used to just like they were ruthless, man.
Yeah. Dan says Temple of Doom, where the dude gets his heart ripped out. Fuck me up. Yeah, that would probably be one for me
Yeah,
too. I don't know. I feel like I remember that just kind of being dope. I don't know. It's easy for me to say now. I probably scared me when I was a kid. I don't really remember. Actually, I didn't even watch the Indiana Jones movies until I was probably like 15 or 16. So
same. I saw those late.
I remember because I watched all 3 of them back to back in one day at my stepdad's house in Pennsylvania, which was
That's dope.
is an all time day. Yeah. Um, Anthony's Horror More asks, speaking of new horror movies, how do you guys feel about the film Men? I think it's a solid film with a lot of depth and a very solid performance from Jesse Buckley. Did you see Men or no?
I have not seen Men. That does give me a really good answer for the previous question that I'll hold though, because Jesse Buckley's in it, and I love Jesse Buckley. I did not see Men though.
Yeah, me and Eric saw this together in theaters. Didn't really work for me. It starts out really strong, and it has like a really great trailer and stuff, and like it had the makings of something that I thought I could really be into. And by the time the third act rolls around, it just gets way too lost in the sauce, and yeah, it kind of just it's a movie I'll probably never watch again. I do like the director though, Alex Garland. I really like Annihilation and Ex Machina. Excuse me.
Mm, okay.
So,
Ex
um,
Machina's great.
so and he's got a new movie coming out this year called Civil War, which
Oh,
I
that's him
will.
too.
Yeah, that's him. So I'll see like whatever he does. He's earned my respect from those first two movies, but yeah, Men just did not work for me.
Yeah, I
Uh,
haven't.
oh, did you want to
Yeah, I haven't. I haven't seen Men, but Jesse Buckley is in. I'm thinking of ending things, which
Mm.
maybe that counts as a non-horror film. I don't know
I
that you.
can't weigh in because I still haven't seen it.
Dude, that movie is so good. It's I want to say Gerald Kaufman. I might be making up his. Might be Charlie Kaufman.
That's it.
Ger-
yeah,
Gerald Kaufman sounds like a made up
that's
name
not
that
a
we
real
would use as
person.
a joke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. He did Eternal Sunshine and this. I'm sure a bunch of other stuff, but very like super cerebral, psychological like film. And I'm thinking of ending things like does so many things that I don't like in movies. They break the fourth wall a bunch, and like Jesse Buckley like talks right to the camera a couple times and stuff like that, and all of it just like hit for me so well. And then the end, I was just like not sure what to do with myself, and was like very it's scary, but in like a very like mind fucky cerebral way, and that's like my
Mm.
favorite. So yeah, that movie's great.
I need to check that out. That's on Netflix, right?
I think it was like I think it was one of those ones that was like literally just on Netflix, which is
Yeah, it doesn't get
pain
like a physical
painful.
release or anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's painful. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of examples of that, unfortunately. Devin says First Conjuring is the best one. I have to agree. I just watched it again a couple weeks ago because I did a James Wan dedicated stream. I was on Mega Mike's channel and we just kind of ranked all of James Wan's movies, and then it had me wanting to watch Conjuring again. And yeah, movie holds up super well. It's very like Amityville coded, like has the feels like a 70s horror film. That's another big one from the 70s, Amityville.
I think I've
Um,
actually seen that. Courage was
yeah,
not a children's show.
it was
Yeah.
not, but I was a kid and I was watching it. Another movie I have not seen is Requiem for a Dream. I've heard things about this movie. I know it's probably not a good time, and I just have not gotten around to it yet.
I haven't watched it either.
I really like Jennifer Connelly though, so maybe I will watch it one day. But it's hard to like sit down and be like, all right, I'm gonna watch this movie, and it's about like drug addicts, I believe, and just messed up stuff. So yeah, one day though, I'll get around to it. Yeah, the heart ripped out, and then TJ follows up. Ditto on Temple and Doom. Also, the melting face scene. Yeah,
That
that's
surprised me.
Raiders at the
Yeah.
end. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
when they open the ark. Yeah, Indy surprisingly snuck in some like horror stuff,
Bring
right?
it
Like
back.
real little bits of it in the amidst all the adventure. But yeah, definitely some messed up shit.
I wonder if they're making like the game. I don't know if you've seen any footage of the game that they're
Yeah,
making. I wonder if that'll be. It's got to be like a little spooky, right?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope so. That'd be cool. I'm definitely excited about that Indiana Jones game.
Yeah.
Um, so that actually is a nice segue into another topic that we can discuss here. Um, to put a little bow on the current state of horror, I think we're in a really great place for horror movies. We're kind of getting a little bit of everything. We're getting the elevated stuff. We're getting like the trashy stuff. Like the Blumhouse stuff, the kind of things that movies like Megan and Five Nights at Freddy's that appeal to a younger audience, and like those movies will be somebody's horror movie that they watched when they were too young one
That's
day.
cool.
You know what I mean? And like so it's all cyclical. So I'm glad like movies like
Mm-hmm.
that exist, even though they're not necessarily my favorite thing. But yeah, I think we live in one of the best eras for horror right now.
Yeah, you had sent me some trailers too, and that I watched at like 5:30 this morning,
Yeah,
and which
we
was
could talk
quite a
about
way to
those later. Yeah.
start the day.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
But since you mentioned the Indiana Jones game, I want to talk about some of our favorite horror games that we've played because you and I have a lot of these in common,
Mm-hmm.
and we could probably talk for a little bit about that too. So, if you want to go ahead and start.
I mean, the big one. So me and at least when I think of like the games and the consoles that I came up playing, very much PlayStation 2.
Mm.
I feel like I was like kind of prime. I had a PlayStation 1 briefly. I feel like we got it from somebody or something. It was like one of my cousins, and he gave it to me, so I had it like briefly before the PS2 came out. And I had like N64 and stuff before that, but like my main formative, like, okay, I know how to play video games now, years was PS2. And I don't know how it came into my life. You might have gotten it for me. I had Resident Evil 4, and
I think I did.
I was thinking about that recently. I was like, I have no idea. Like, I didn't buy it. I don't remember asking for it. I just like it's just been in my life since I was like 12 or whatever. And
Maybe I did because I remember getting you some game for your birthday. I was
you
like,
got me Ratchet and Clank.
That's what I
That
got you. Yeah, yeah,
that I
yeah.
remember
Okay.
specifically.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you remembered that because that was going to bother me. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
yo, Tyler's birthday's coming up. Got to get him something. And I think I was with my mom was with Bob at the time, and we like went out to the store and got you that.
Yeah. I
It's
distinctly
awesome.
remember you getting me the first Ratchet and Clank. Also a great game. Not
Mm,
scary though. Um,
no.
but yeah, we put hours and hours into Resident Evil 4 for PS2 for various consoles. But for PS2, and I feel like that maybe even more so than movies is like has affected like the things that I like and the things that I gravitate towards. A lot of the games I feel like I've spent more time playing horror games than I've actually spent watching horror movies, just because you can put so much more time into a game than a single movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially Resident Evil 4 because that game is like endlessly replayable. I mean, I've bought it for like 5 consoles at this point, and I replay it and I replay it again. The remake from last year was incredible. Um,
I'm really glad that I haven't played it yet. I don't have a modern. I have a PS3 and Mark's old Xbox One sitting in front of me right now, so I don't have a modern console, but
I
very
wonder
excited to
if
play it
it's
eventually.
available on. I think it might be next gen only.
I feel like it is. I have it for the PS3, like downloaded on there.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's on there. That sucks.
Rough.
I was
I
gonna
have a lot.
say,
I got a backlog anyway.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Resident Evil 4 is like the big one. That's like my favorite video game of all time. Um, but I know you've also played like a little bit of Condemned. Uh,
Dude, Condemned 2. I didn't play the first one, but Condemned 2 is like criminally slept on game. One of my favorite combat systems in any game. I played through it all the way once, and then like a year later, went to play it again and got like a couple hours into it, and I was like, fuck this. It's so like, it's so intense. It's like supernatural, but you're also in this city that like, if somebody isn't possessed, then they're like tweaked out. They're like on like drugs, and
yeah,
so you're either getting like rolled up on by like some ghouls, or you're like getting ambushed by like a huge guy who's like tweaking, and it's an absolutely insane game.
yeah. I have distinct memories of watching you play that, and there was like a mannequin factory,
Oh my
and
god.
it was like not. It was just not chill. Um, but yeah, dude. That's a big one. I definitely would. Oh, and I remember there's a big like grizzly bear chasing you around at some point too,
I think
which is pretty crazy.
yeah, me, you, and PJ played it at one point, and there's a level that like starts off like weirdly chill, and you're like outside in the snow, and you go into like this big, like real big, like log cabin, and it's like super chill to the point where you're like, "What's up?" And then a bear comes crashing in at one point, and you like running away from this bear. It's insane.
Yeah,
It's
I
a great
remember
game.
watching you play that. That's
It's a great
awesome.
set piece. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I also am a big fan of Outlast 1 and 2. Those games are some of the scariest games I've ever played. To the point where like when I would work up the willpower to play some of it, I would play for like 20, 30 minutes, make a small amount of progress, and then be like, well, it's good for tonight. Save it, and then try again in a couple of days. Just because it's so stressful to play that.
Do those, and then the other big one for me is Devil May Cry 3,
Mm.
which has a lot of interesting overlap with Resident Evil 4. They actually is the same. It was the same developers originally, and they were trying to make what would become Resident Evil 4. So Resident Evil 3 to come out, they're trying to make a new game, and they had gotten so deep into the weeds of like making this weird new game that that they had to like break it off, and they're like, okay, this is cool, but we need to like, this isn't Resident Evil anymore, but we want to make this still. So like, you guys go do that, and that became Devil May Cry,
Yeah,
and then somehow they like pivoted back and then made Resident Evil 4, which is crazy.
that
Um,
they did that with another game too called Haunting Ground.
I don't know
Um,
that.
that's one for the PS2 as well. Um, it's another horror game. Yeah, so in during the development of RE4 originally, they spawned like two or three other games, Devil May Cry
What?
and Haunting Ground being one of them. Yeah, where they were just like, these are all dope ideas, but we can't really use them. Definitely look up Haunting Ground though. That one's like super rare and expensive on the PS2. I think it's like a
Mm.
$200 game or something.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I've never played it because it's pretty inaccessible. But
Yeah, I
yeah.
heard that was crazy.
Dan asks, when's the Visage stream? I don't think I've ever told you about Visage. It's this really fucked up horror game. Kind
Is the
of,
one with the camera?
it's no, it's it. Outlast is the one with the
Okay.
camera.
Okay. Okay.
Visage is kind of like that, where you like can't fight back at all, and you're just kind
Mm-hmm.
of walking around like, getting scared. Uh, Devin says yes, Outlast. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know you played Outlast. Yeah, Outlast is fucking awesome. Um, but yeah, one day, if I can figure out a way to stream games to YouTube, it shouldn't be that hard. I'm sure I could figure it out. Um, I would definitely be interested in like playing a bunch of different horror games, like to for an audience. I think that'd be really fun. So that's something I'll definitely look into. It beats playing like just by yourself.
Especially a horror game.
That's fun and scary in its own way, like when you're just totally like locked in and immersed and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like playing for an audience, I'll be more like forthcoming and like, all right, like I got to do this. Like people are counting on me, type thing. So, all right. So now we can pivot over to upcoming horror movies. I sent you some trailers the other day for some horror movies that are kind of on my radar for this year. That I'd never got your thoughts on these, so this will be
Mm-hmm.
interesting. So yeah, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, you sent me a few. There was one, I don't know if it was literally called stop motion.
Yeah,
I do not like stop motion. I don't like puppet stuff. I don't like anything that's moving around that kind of looks like it's supposed to be moving around, but it's obviously not supposed to be moving around. I remember I tried watching Team America.
oh
Is
yeah,
that is that
that's not
and
stop motion, but
like
it's just like,
it's like puppet,
yeah,
and
it's just like puppetry.
I got like 5 minutes into it, and I was like, bro, I was like, I can't. We were at Brendan's house. I was like, I cannot watch this. And yeah, so like I watched. Wow,
Very insightful.
never put that together, but that makes absolute sense.
Maybe I'm thinking you just
Um,
don't like puppets slash dolls.
yeah, I'm good. On my grandma on my mom's side also had like lots and lots of dolls, like in like her room, and like some of them in the living room. When I was
Clyde had a
little, so
room in his house with just mad dolls in there.
fuck that. Like right across from his bedroom,
Yeah, yeah,
never went in there.
yeah. No, something about like older people just like dolls, like those
Bro,
weird dolls.
they love them, bro.
They just like collect them and they don't see anything like scary or creepy about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, so yeah, so stop motion looks super bizarre. I think I'm good on that.
I'm definitely going to
There
see that.
there's you sent me, I saw the TV glow. That looks very much up my alley.
Yeah,
That does
dude.
that doesn't look like scary though, but it
Yeah,
does
the
look like
trailer
very
didn't
interesting.
look actually that scary, but conceptually looks super cool.
I also wouldn't be surprised if that was like a sleeper scary movie. I feel like A24 is very mindful of how they edit trailers.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I
More so than like other like bigger studios, for sure.
Yeah, and I could see that being like an actual scarier movie that they kind of like did up for the trailers. Like, oh, this is like an adventure. It's like a like friends kind of going on this like wacky thing.
Yeah, it kind of
But
has that feel to it, right? Of like almost
yeah,
like a nostalgic thing, which makes
yeah,
sense. Yeah, the I saw the TV Glow is this upcoming movie directed by Jane Brun. I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name, but she had a movie come out a couple years ago, or maybe just a year ago, called "We're All Going to the World's Fair," which is like a movie I haven't seen, but I heard people really were into it, and it was I think it's like all found footage slash shot from like a webcam or something,
Hmm.
and it looks really cool. And then did really well, and it looks like she's got like a much bigger budget and like is going to be able to do a lot more with this movie. So I'm definitely intrigued by that. It's getting like rave reviews and stuff. So yeah, that's on my list for sure. Did you watch the trailer for Long Legs?
Yeah,
What did you think about that?
that looks insane. Um, Nick Cage is in it. They don't show him at all, but you hear his
Yeah,
voice towards the end,
yeah,
which
you
is
don't hear him at
low.
all. Which yeah, that's
Um,
super cool.
um, yeah, and I feel like I've also slept on like some of his previous movies that are I haven't seen like Pig or Mandy, which I know are
Dude,
both great. I know.
Pig and Mandy
Um,
are phenomenal. Both two very different movies. Pig's not a horror film at all, but it's just incredibly good. You
mhm.
should definitely watch Pig. Yeah, Nick Cage is in this really interesting part of his career right now where he's still doing the sort of like straight to V straight well he's doing the straight to VOD like really crappy movies that are just kind of using him for his name. But then he's also being used by these like auteurs who are like really trying to make like a cool movie, and they're like using Nick Cage in such a way as to like harness his raw acting ability, and they're like really like building it almost around him. I think of movies like Pig, Mandy, Color Out of Space is a really cool one from a couple years back. I just recently watched Dream Scenario from last year, which I didn't love, but was like pretty cool and had a lot of cool ideas. Um, and yeah, I'm just really here for this current era of like Nick Cage and just like the kind of stuff he's been up to.
Bro, you know what they need to do?
What,
They need to do another National Treasure and make it
dude?
like a crazy
They've been
like
tossing that around for a while.
let me get an A24 National Treasure.
It's like a family drama. It's like,
It's like fast forwarded, he's found some treasure, he's rich, but like his kid gets into oh, I was about to like literally just pitch you essentially like The Mummy Returns. Actually, I was like his kid finds this old treasure and like something he does something with it that he's not supposed to. That's the plot of The Mummy Returns. Never mind.
dude. I mean, I feel like people enough times gone by that we could do a soft reboot of The Mummy Returns, starring Nick
Oh,
Cage.
and what's her name should be in it though
Oh
still.
yeah, Rachel Weisz. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, they made like a crappy National Treasure TV series with like none of the returning actors on Disney Plus.
I'm not aware of
I
that.
think Justin Bartham might have like made a cameo in it. He plays like Cage's dorky sidekick in National Treasure. You know who I'm talking about.
Um,
The tech guy.
his his like oh I'm
It's
thinking
like
of the
his little
mummy still.
son.
I'm thinking of the
No, no,
mummy
no.
still.
National Treasure. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
his
yeah.
little. I think he might have like made a small cameo in the Disney Plus show, but yeah.
The guy in the
Um,
chair.
yeah, guy. Yes, exactly. His man in the
Yeah,
chair.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. So, dude. Anyway, Long Legs looks great. It's got Micah Monroe in it from It Follows. She's been in a lot of really. She's really leaning into like the horror side of her. Like she's done other things, but excuse me, she's been in a lot of like really great horror movies aside from It Follows. I feel like that's what most people know her from.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
They're
super
make
excited.
Isn't It Follows getting a sequel?
Yeah, yeah,
They follow.
they follow. I don't know when that's supposed to come out. I think maybe this year. Probably not though. They just announced it last year,
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
so probably sometime next year. Super excited for that. She's coming
The
back for that.
Yeah, the first one's great. The soundtrack, like the score, is
Yeah,
fantastic.
disaster
And
piece.
there's a I forget who did it, but there's a really good video essay that somebody did breaking down how they shot it, and it's all these like really deep shots. If you're into like
Mm.
why people choose the shots that they choose in films, I don't know what it. You could go
S-
find it.
See
Yeah,
if you can
check
find
it
that.
out.
Send it to me. I'm surprised I
Yeah,
haven't already seen that.
yeah, it's really good.
But yeah, Longlegs is directed by the director of The Black Coat's Daughter, by the way, which is
I totally get that vibe. Yep.
yeah, Osgood Perkins, who is the son of Anthony Perkins, who plays Norman Bates in Psycho.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Freaky.
Um, yeah, he's made a nice little career directing different horror movies. So super excited for that. Black Coat's Daughter is a movie I'm a big fan of, and I will be featured in my newest video that should be out within maybe a week or two. Probably not 2 weeks, a little less than that. But I'm trying to err on the side of longer rather than sooner, just to kind of cover my ass. But I am hard at work on that, so stay tuned for that sometime soon. Did you watch what other trailers did I send? I think I sent you one more that we didn't talk about.
I'm gonna mess up the name, but like long.
Lovely, Dark, and Deep.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
I only found out about that one because I was watching Dead Meat, who's a big YouTube channel. I'm not sure if you know about them. They are a horror channel. James, the guy
Does
from
he do
Dead
the kill
Meat,
counts?
yeah, he does the kill count. He did a live stream. He does these weekly live streams where he kind of talks about like horror news, and
Mm-hmm.
he's the one who showed me the trailer for Lovely Dark and Deep, which looks really cool. It almost giving me like a little bit of Blair Witch vibes. A little bit. Did you get that from
Mm-hmm.
that?
Yep. Yep. Blair. We didn't talk about Blair Witch yet somehow, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, Blair Witch.
Yeah, Blair Witch is awesome. I did my whole video on Blair Witch, which is I think it's sitting at like 1.2K views, which is super awesome. I'm really
It's
glad
great.
people seem to like that one.
It's a great film. I love that it's in the conversation still.
Oh my god. Well, that's the beauty of ambiguity, man. When you don't just spell out exactly what's happening at every step of the way, you're able to preserve the conversation a little longer.
Able to keep it just like, oh, like, what's up with it? We're still just like talking about like, what if
Yep.
this is going on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so many theories that you can talk about with Blair Witch. It's a lot of fun.
I didn't realize that
Um,
was the same guy, but that makes sense. Or not that it's the same guy, but it's very much that vibe of like it's kind of just like a girl in the woods and she doesn't know what's going on, and just like that already, you're just like, fuck.
yeah, yeah. That one looks really cool. I think that has Georgina Campbell, who was in Barbarian from 2 years ago now.
Mm.
So super into that. Definitely gonna be checking that one out. And then there's a lot of other ones that I either don't have trailers yet or I just didn't send them to you. But basically, 2024 is shaping up to be one of the best years for horror in a long time. I have a list on Letterboxd. I'm just gonna run down. And this is not even comprehensive. There's a lot that I'm probably forgetting, but so far we've got Nosferatu from Robert Eggers coming out. Incredibly excited for that. Maxine from Ty West, the third chapter in the X trilogy, I guess is the name of it. Uh,
Mm.
Abigail, the vampire ballerina movie from the directors of Scream 5 and 6 and Ready or Not. Very excited for that. Alien Romulus from Fede Alvarez, who directed the Evil Dead remake and Don't Breathe. Alien, like it's the sequel. It's a Alien movie, like the Ridley
The
Scott
franchise,
ones. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Not just like Alien, like it's the Alien
Aliens.
franchise. Yeah, yeah.
It's an
So
alien themed.
it's like right there. That's like four bangers, I'm sure. I saw the TV Glow, Immaculate, which is like this nun movie starring Sydney Sweeney. I don't know what's up with that. It's from Neon, I'm pretty sure. I like Sydney Sweeney, so I'll definitely be checking that out. Stop motion. I think that's already out. I have a friend
Mm.
in a Discord that I'm in who says he already saw it. It's playing at AMC's right now, but we don't have AMC's around us, so you could probably go check it out. I know
Mm.
you I know you said you're probably good on that one, but um there's a Wolfman film remake coming from Lee Winnell. I don't think that started filming yet, so that might not come out this year, but there is a Wolfman remake coming soon. Lee Winnell did The Invisible Man from 2020, and he also did a movie called Upgrade, which is really cool. Then we got Longlegs, which we already talked about. There's another movie called In a Violent Nature. we don't know a lot about this one yet. The trailer is just a teaser right now, but apparently it's like a horror film where you're watching the whole thing through the POV like of the killer, which is pretty
Whoa.
interesting conceptually. So like I got my eyes on that. There's another one called Cuckoo, or yeah, Cuckoo, starring Hunter Schafer from Euphoria. I have not watched
Hmm.
Euphoria, but this movie looks pretty cool. Um, let's see. Definitely going to check that out. Terrifier 3, which is a Christmas horror film. Super excited for that.
That's
Um,
your shit.
Terrifier 1 and 2, fun movies. Not my favorite genre of horror, but definitely going to check out the third one. It's a Christmas theme, so that looks like a lot of fun. And
Is that
then,
the?
oh,
You're
good.
good. Is that the very heavily painted white?
Yeah, it's Art the Clown. It's this guy.
I have not seen either of those. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that guy. Um, those are fun. They're very gory. It's more of like a
Yeah,
splatter kind of thing, slasher. Um, and then we got Lovely Dark and Deep, which we just talked about, where she's like a, a woodland ranger kind of thing. She's like some kind of like officer. So, I mean, that's a lot of horror movies right there that I just named. And then we also have a bunch that were not on my radar or on my list, and I just haven't updated it yet.
dude. I what was the one that I think it's the same director as Don't Breathe?
Fede Alvarez. That's the Alien movie, Alien
Oh,
Romulus.
dude, Don't Breathe was super fun.
Oh yeah, did we
Um,
saw that in theaters? Didn't we?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like that was that same. I don't know if it was the exact. I don't know if it was 2014, but it was around that same time, where they were just like banger horror movies coming out, and that's one where it's not like the most nice. Yeah, it's not like the most like intelligent, crazy script. And there's like a few things in it that were like kind of cheesy. Like the one dude there was named Money, and I
Yeah,
remember there was one scene where they were like, "They killed Money," and it was just like it was just like funny. But
yeah.
that movie is it was so much fun. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
I
dope.
haven't seen anything from Fede Alvarez in a while. He like produced a few things, but like I don't know that he's directed a movie since Don't Breathe, as far as I
Hmm.
know. So the fact that he's coming back and it's Alien has me super excited. Um,
Eh,
yeah,
do you know if it's a later sequel or is this like prequel to the
I don't
first
know where it
Aliens?
takes place. Like on the timeline, legacy sequels have kind of been like all the rage now, where it's like a sequel to the first movie and it kind of ignores the rest of the continuity.
Hmm.
I'm not 100% sure where what this is going to do, but yeah, I'm super excited for this. So, yeah, it's going to be a good year, man. I'll keep you updated on the things that I check out and let you know what you should go see for sure.
Yeah, I've been just backstory. I've been like traveling. I've like lived in lots of different places for the past couple years.
Mhm.
Um and so I just haven't gone to the movies often, but now I live in just like a place again.
Yeah.
And I have lots of theaters right around me, so I'm like very excited. I'm going to see Dune tomorrow at 2. It's like the fourth movie I've seen in theaters in like 2 years. So, I'm extremely very strong. Yeah, I'm very very excited. Don't tell us shit, but how was Dune?
I figure we can close out with a little bit of Dune talk. We can mostly
Oh,
talk about the first movie and the franchise like as a whole. Um I saw it last night, Dune 2. Um it's a 5 out of 5. It's 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 hard to imagine another movie like upsetting this as like number 1 of the year. Like I don't know like what could possibly. It's top 3 on the year, and it's February and it's March. Today is March
oh,
1st. So it's
oh.
like I mean it was incredible. So um I know you said you recently rewatched the first Dune. Um
Yeah, I saw the first one when it came out in theaters, and then hadn't watched it since then. And I knew I was going to see the sequel this Saturday, so this past Sunday night I watched the first one again, and I watch stuff here. I have like not a huge monitor, but I have like a nice computer monitor, and I watch stuff with headphones to really
mm,
get like the good audio.
Definitely getting that
And
good sound design.
dude, the music and the sound design and everything in Dune is like fucking fantastic. And
Yeah.
so that was cool, even though like it's such a visual spectacle. So it's
Mm.
like not quite the same watching it on the small
Yeah.
monitor, but getting to like hear it and like really be in there. So good. I'm so excited for the sequel.
Yeah, we talk a lot of horror on Tales from the Shelf, but I'm into like all kinds of movies. I don't know if that I'm sure it's like just kind of implied. Um but yeah, Dune, one of my favorites from the year that came out, 2021, I believe. And been eagerly awaiting the next one. I started reading the first one the other night. I'm not far
Mm.
into it like at all. I literally just read like the first chapter, but like I'm gonna start reading the books now because like now that I kind of know, I mean, I know what happens in this, but there's a lot that doesn't make it in.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm
I
super excited to read that now.
yeah. Before I don't know if Eric's here still, but shortly before the first Dune movie was coming out, they reissued like that set, like that book that you have. They put the whole set out with like new artwork and stuff.
I have Messiah and Children of Dune over there too.
I remember he like I think he sent a picture of it to like our group chat, and I had never heard of Dune, but I saw the cover art and I was like, "Yo, what is that?" And he pitched it to me as like the it's like the Lord of the Rings for like sci-fi,
Yeah,
right? And so I was like, "All right, like I'm obviously gonna go cop that." And so I read the first like half of the first book. My girlfriend actually read all of the books, all like six or whatever.
oh, really? She
Um,
did? I didn't even know. I mean, I feel like I did probably know that, and I just forgot. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and but I read the first like half of the first book, so I read just past where the first movie ends, so I get to like go
Ooh.
into this movie like pretty fresh. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I
I,
never finished. I never got back into it. So
yeah, I
yeah.
didn't know anything. I didn't know what was going to happen in Dune 2. And by the way, if you're watching this, I'm not going to spoil Dune 2. It literally just came out last night. There's not
That'd be so be so lame.
There will be no spoilers for Dune in here. We're just kind of praising it and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen. I had seen the 84 film from David Lynch.
Mm,
Um, your mileage will vary as far as like whether that's like a good movie or not. All I can tell you is they jam the whole book into one movie, and I think it's only like a little over 2 hours or something.
okay.
Dune 2 alone is 2 hours and 47 minutes. So like, so I've seen that. Like, I think I probably watched it when Dune 2021 came out, but it took me like multiple viewing sessions to get through it because it's just so weird. Um, and just not very good. But so I didn't. But like I didn't remember what happened. Like I really
Okay,
didn't.
good.
I
Yeah.
didn't like really internalize it. Like I don't know. So all of Dune 2 was like brand new to me. Um, and the way that leaves off is it sets up for more. I'll say that. That's not really a spoiler. Obviously there's more books, so like we should be getting another one from Denis Villeneuve at some point, and that will be probably one movie covering Dune Messiah, which is not a very big book. It's only probably like 300 pages, if I had to guess. It's way shorter than Dune, I can tell you that, just from looking at them side by side on my shelf. And I said this in my letterbox review of it, but if that one's even half as good as these first two, then this will be a trilogy like to rival Lord of the Rings and the original Star Wars. Um, so I'm just so grateful that we live in a time where like all the stars aligned and like we get to it. Like this is a once in a generation movie. Like Dune is it's so fucking good, man.
Me and Ellie were just talking about like how I know like Denis very much stresses using like practical stuff, like practical sets and all that,
Yeah.
however he can. And there's very like minimal, like relatively minimal CGI and green screening. Christopher Nolan does the same thing, and just talking about like how crazy that is. That like how great, but like how crazy it is that studios are letting like letting them do that. And I feel like it comes through like so much when you go and like see the film. I'm sure there's lots of reasons like the actors actually feel things more because like the
Mm-hmm.
thing is actually there. And also just like there's a level of craft that comes in when you make a movie like that you don't get when you're like, okay, we're all in like a big ass green
Like
room
Marvel
or like
movies
LCD
or all
room.
that shit.
Yeah, and it's just like very different. It really comes through, and I'm just like, not to, like I don't like bash Marvel. The whole run up to like Endgame was super epic,
Yeah.
but like I just love that there's people making things that are like Dune is very much it is like a big blockbuster film, but it's like such a it's like such a movie still, you know? Like
Hmm.
it's great.
That's what makes things age well, man, is when you
Yeah.
use that practical. I mean, you look at movies from like the 90s and the early 2000s when they were just figuring out CGI, and they're very much like obviously from that era.
Mhm.
Um, Honestly, The Lord of the Rings is like the one outlier. Like those movies still look pretty good, but there's a lot of practical stuff in those, and there is CGI, but it's used kind of almost to enhance the practicality. And that's how I feel like Denis' approach has been to Dune.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say the other thing whenever I think of like CGI and like kind of that pivot point where people were like, oh, like we can just use CGI instead of doing this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I always think of the first Jurassic Park
Mm-hmm.
and how that's like very much like lots of, there is CGI in that, but like a lot of it is practical and like very physical.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like again, like it just comes through so much.
Yeah,
And it just like feels like so real and so like there's so much texture. It's great.
it's all about using them in conjunction with each other,
Mm-hmm.
and not over being overly reliant. You see it with like horror movies a lot, like
Mm.
CGI blood. I mean,
Hmm.
that's all I gotta say. They, there's been a lot of noticeable like CGI blood and like just gore in general,
Not hitting for you.
and like practical effects like for um just monsters and stuff. Like the Thing remake from 2011, the Thing from
A
1980.
remake?
Yeah, it's like a prequel, but it's
Okay.
effectively like a remake.
Gotcha.
Um, but like the Thing from 1982 is like the holy grail of practical effects. And then
I
so
went and saw
too.
that in theaters a couple years ago.
Did you? Did I think I did too. I know I did too. I didn't know that you did though. That's awesome. But so, and it's just kind of ironic that the remake slash prequel, they were gonna use practical effects, but it was deemed too costly. There's like behind the scenes footage of like them with the practical effects, like they were gonna do it, and then they kind of went back and just did all CGI.
And it shows.
I mean, I don't know that it. I I don't want to say that like it would have made the movie better, because the
Mm-hmm.
movie's kind of forgettable. Like some people, it has its fans and stuff, but like I think a big part of it too is just how beloved the first one is. That it's going to be hard to kind of even measure up in the slightest. Like it's going to be kind of
Sure.
been, it's going to be deemed like inferior just off the rip. Um, so it already had an uphill battle when you kind of remake or do a sequel to like such a beloved property, but it would have went a long way towards improving its reception had it been done with practical, because it's like in the
Sure.
spirit of that first movie. So you already kind of rub people the wrong way when you see that. Um, but yeah, man, it's just practical effects. Yeah, and that's a really good point you bring up with Denis, where it's like it's funny that you would even say that with a movie that's like got all these sandworms and like all this visual stuff that's like very clearly is CGI, but you don't really think about it when you're watching
Mm-hmm.
it because there's so much other stuff that's practical and feels real and tangible, to where it all kind of creates this whole picture that just feels it's all good, because the practical stuff is so good that um you don't really think about like sometimes you watch a movie and you're like, yeah, this is just all CGI, and it's kind of all you can
Mm-hmm.
think about.
Mm-hmm.
If that were the case with Dune, it would show and it would kind of affect your viewing. But yeah, it,
Yep.
it, it strikes a really nice balance.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's not too much we can talk about aside from that. As far as Dune goes, just because spoilers and stuff.
Dude, how good for the from the first one? I'm sure I know he's in the second one, but from the first one, the Baron is one of like my favorite like like we call him a villain. He's like
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
my favorite villain designs. I was like waiting to see how they because like the way that they depict his like I forget what they call him in the book, but the things that like hold him up, um, they're depicted very differently in the book than they are in the movie.
Mm,
But the way that they do it in the movie is like so good and so like visually striking. And that first scene where
Like
he's like,
rises up.
yeah, he's like, "Ugh," and then he just like slowly just like floats up, and he has like that long,
Yeah, dude.
he's like a big dress on, and you're like, what the fuck? And what's the guy's
That's Stellan
I
Skarsgård.
so good,
He's amazing. Yeah.
so good.
I'll just say this. Everyone in Dune 2 is if you said anyone in Dune 2 was your favorite character, I would have no issue with that because
Wow.
everyone of the cast is so first of all, they're all so well cast. And they all do such an amazing job. Austin Butler as Fade Routha is probably the standout. He is so committed and he gives it his all. He is fantastic. Javier Bardem as Stilgar, you only get to see a little bit of him in the first movie. He really gets to do a lot more in this one, and he is so fucking good. So like
He's
those
great.
two are kind of like my favorites. Also, Rebecca Ferguson. I would lie under oath for Rebecca Ferguson. I fucking love her. She's fantastic. She killed it too. I mean, you could just go down the fucking list, man. Timothy Chalamet is so good. There's a scene towards the end. There's multiple scenes towards the end where he really gets to do some he, really impressive acting, where he's sort of commanding the screen. Uh, it's hard to
Tim-
kind of.
Timothy Chalamet is great,
He's so good, man. He's that dude right now.
dude.
Yeah,
Timothy Chalamet is great, and I first saw Austin Butler in, I forget the show, but there was like
it's like a
a
Disney Plus show or Disney Channel show or something, or
it
Nickelodeon or some shit.
it was like, I think it was on MTV, and I think
Oh,
what it was,
it's the Chronicles of Shannara or something, right?
yeah, the Shannara. Ellie would know. So Ellie had watched like the first season
Yeah, I
when she
remember
was
that.
like in
I
high
never watched
school or
it, but I
whatever.
I heard about it.
Yeah, I had never watched it, so she'd watched it in high school, and then a few years ago, it like came back into her head, and she was like, "Oh, it's this old show. Like I have to, like I want to watch it."
Hmm.
And she's like, "I'm sure it's gonna be ridiculous." It was like on MTV, but like I want to watch it, and I was like, "All right." And it's ridiculous, right? But like we watched it, and the first season is like pretty bad. Like production quality is pretty bad. Acting is bad. Um, and it's like young Austin Butler, and he's like skinny, but he like shows up, and he's like the like kind of goofy like hunky kid, and it's been great like going from seeing him in that like that was probably he's probably in that like 10 years ago, if not more,
Yeah,
and uh and then like he popped up in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and we were like, whoa, like okay,
yeah, dude. He
and
plays
then he's been
Tex. He plays
yeah,
Tex.
and then he's just been
Yeah.
killing it. Love it.
Dude, he's
You love to see it.
I didn't love Elvis, but he's very good in that. Um, and that role
That one.
I was worried it would kind of like define him for a little bit because like
Mm-hmm.
he couldn't lose the accent and all this stuff. All of that has been
That's
put to
awesome.
bed with Dune 2. He is
Great.
firmly like he has the juice. He can do different shit. He's versatile, and I'm so excited just to see where he goes from here. So, uh, Laren left a really nice comment. Mark, you and Tyler killed it tonight. Great job hosting. You should do this again soon. Thank you so much, man. That's really nice to hear.
Thanks, Larry.
I wasn't like anxious about this. I'd been on streams before. I'd never like hosted my own, so I was more worried about like the technical side of things more than anything, making sure it all like went smoothly and stuff. But thank you so much for saying that, dude.
Thanks for pulling up.
Yeah, thanks everyone. We've had at least 8. I think we had 12 people at one point watching, so that's really cool.
Very cool.
Um, schedules permitting, I would like to make this like at least a monthly thing with you if you're down, and then gonna probably consider doing other ones as well with like panels and stuff where we have multiple people. So
Especially now
definitely,
you got it down. It's easy to set up.
yeah, it's
Set
definitely
it up.
Streamyard makes things easy for sure. Yeah, so thanks so much for saying that. That was awesome. We could probably start to wrap it up here. I know you probably have things to do.
Bro, I have very quickly. I have a very stacked day tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm gonna get up early. I'm gonna take my weekend bath,
Ooh,
and
nice.
then I'm gonna play Skyrim for like a couple hours, and then
Wow.
walk and go see Dune, and then get pizza.
Yeah, so you got a lot going on.
It's a rough it's a
It's
rough
a
life,
rough
man.
it's a rough life, but you're gonna get through it, I'm sure. Dude,
Yeah,
yeah,
be alright.
let me know as soon as you get out of Dune. I would love to hear your thoughts on it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Um, Thanks, TJ, and thank you, Dan. You guys are awesome for watching the whole thing. Really
Yeah, thank you
appreciate
for
that.
coming through.
Especially, I know Dan is probably playing Final Fantasy VII Remake right now. That just came out the other day. So for you to be able to spare some time for me with that out is super awesome. So thank you so much, dude. Um, yeah, we can start to kind of wind down here. You want to plug anything or tell people where they can find you online if they are so interested?
Yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing to plug or sell. You can. I only hang out on Twitter, so I'm Tyler Internet on Twitter. Hit me up. That's all I got. I'll be back. What we this is cool. We'll definitely do this more. Get
Definitely
some
want
more
to do
people
this
on
again.
here,
Yeah, I would love that.
bro.
Um,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, dude. It only felt right. So, and we do this a lot ourselves, like where we just kind of talk like this. So,
Literally.
um, it only made sense to kind of go live and let other people listen to it too. Um, all right. So as for me, I have another video coming out sometime in the next week and a half, maybe. I don't know. I don't want. Anytime I've put a schedule on myself, I've wound up like screwing myself. So it'll be out
That's
when
how it
it's
goes.
out. Keep the bell on, as they say. Um, yeah, and thanks so much to all you guys who came out for the first show. That was super awesome of you. Really appreciate it. And keep an eye out for more. So yeah, with that in mind, you know what I'm about to say?
Oh, say the thing.
Take care and watch more movies. All right, take it easy, folks. Good night.
Peace, guys.